2024 is the year where I revive my author career and see how much momentum I can build once I start publishing again full time. But there's more to reviving my backlist and my career than just publishing new books. There's a lot I need to do with my backlist as well. So Project Phoenix is what I'm calling this particular project to sell more books in 2024. And I am so excited to share with you my plan, my strategy, and all the thinking behind it in today's video. So let's get started. Welcome to Heart Breathings. My name is Sarra Cannon, and I am the indie or self-published author of 27 novels, as well as some short stories and collections throughout the years. I began publishing in 2010, October of 2010. So I am working toward my 14th year of self-publishing, and I've had some great success. I write mostly young adult, portal fantasy, contemporary fantasy books, but I also do have a few series that are new adult contemporary fantasy and a series that is new adult contemporary romance, but I have not published a single full-length novel since July of 2021. So it has been 2.5 years, going on 3 years since I've had a new full book release. And if you know anything about sales and marketing in indie publishing, you know that it is very difficult to maintain high sales and momentum in the algorithms, in your visibility without new book releases. And of course, you could sustain some level of sales if you were putting a lot of money into advertising or a lot of time into cross promotion and social media marketing. But I have done almost none of these things. So I definitely have had a sort of lull in my career, and things have kind of fallen down to a baseline. Now, there are multiple reasons behind it, and we won't get into everything here. Most of you that have been around for a while have been aware of the different struggles. I had a baby in 2019, and then the pandemic. And then, of course, I had some other personal things going on. We lost a house, so we ended up traveling and living in Airbnbs for 6 months, finally settled into a new house. And that goes along with lots of changes as you settle into a brand new house. So there have been a lot of things, as well as the success that I've found here on Heart Breathings and YouTube. So I have an Etsy shop. I also have multiple courses that I teach, and I've been really focused on growing this second business. And it has been a bit of a challenge to balance writing full-time and being a full-time author with being a full-time author coach and YouTuber and everything else that I'm doing here. But 2024 for me is the year that I draw the line and I say, I'm going to figure out this puzzle of how I continue to be a successful full-time self-publishing author, but also continue to gain momentum and serve my audience here at Heart Breathings. Now, we're not going to talk about Heart Breathings today. What we are going to focus on is this author career. So I am going to take you through my thought process. I'm going to take you through Project Phoenix itself, which is my goal to sort of rise from the ashes of my previous success and to find momentum and reconnect with my fans in a big way, and hopefully continue to build that beyond what I ever had previously in terms of income, sales, and community. So that's what Project Phoenix is all about. And I'm going to share with you all of my strategies, and we're going to go through the exact steps and projects that I'm going to follow in order to find this level of new success. So just a few comments before we get started. This is going to be my personal plan and strategy, and it is based on having 27 books in these specific genres, but it's also based very much on my own personal goal and my own personal values. One of the most important first steps to creating any kind of big goal or huge long-term project for yourself is really to determine, like, what is it that my goal is? What's the outcome that I'm reaching for? What does a win or success look like at the end of this project? And one of the most important things that you can do if you're looking to sell more books in 2024, or you're looking to publish for the first time in 2024, is to determine where that sort of first milestone is, or if you're taking on a big project of reviving your backlist, what's your end goal? How much money do you hope to make? What does a win look like for you? Even if it's not the ultimate win, what's that first milestone that you're heading toward? What are your priorities? Because what I determine as my biggest priorities, my big biggest win is going to guide every single choice that I make in terms of the actions that I'm going to take to try to get there. So for example, somebody who decided that they weren't writing what they loved and they wanted to sort of revive their backlist to pay for and fund a brand new career with a brand new pen name is going to have very different actions that they take from somebody who decided that they are going to go back to their old career and they are going to try to put as much money into ads as possible and revive it as quickly as possible. And both of those two people would have very different actions than what I'm taking as somebody who has already a pretty connected, loyal fan base, but is looking to revive that, regain their trust, rebuild that momentum with a focus on community first before a focus on income or sales. And so those scenarios are all going to be different types of actions. And so identifying what it is you most want is going to help guide what you do. So if your goals are different from mine, you might choose different things. And one of the frustrating but also exciting things about indie publishing, like I talked about in last week's video, is that you literally have an unlimited number of potential paths to success. And so this is not meant to be a prescriptive, here's how everyone needs to sell more books in 2024. Instead, it's meant to be, here's an example of the types of things I'm going to do so that maybe it will inspire you. And like I said, this might apply to you, a lot of these fundamentals, if you're just getting started, as well as if you already have 20 books or more like I do. I'm also going to say before we get started on the actual plan that all of these steps are going to take me potentially an entire year. And even at the end of this year, there might still be some things that are undone. So I don't ever try to say, here's all the things. Like you're going to hear a lot of stuff today, but I am not planning to take it like it's all getting done in February. This would be an overwhelming list of things to do and take care of in a single month. And I'm not planning to do that. I'm going to be layering things in as I go, and I'm going to talk to you about how I choose how to layer these things in. So of course, first, what's my goal? Like I said, I am definitely going to focus more on community building, regaining trust with my readers, because I have 3 current ongoing series. And for each of them, people have been waiting 3+ years for the next book. And as we all know about the rage that people have online for George R. R. Martin and how long it's been waiting for Winds of Winter, there are some people who are upset about this. And while I know that I have done the best I can and I am just living and surviving as best I can or focusing on things that are most important to me, there's also that emotional impact of knowing that I've let some people down. And so one of my big goals is to regain that trust, regain that momentum, and hopefully eventually get back to a multiple 6-figure career as an indie author. And so I don't exactly have a specific income goal. I just want to see double, triple, and I want to see that number going up every single month once I get some of these foundations done. But really a win for me is re-engaging my community and getting my community excited. So what's the first thing that you have to do? This is the most emotional part of it. And it also can be the part that keeps people from actually following these steps. And that is, in order to know where we're going, we have to figure out where we are. And if you are sitting here and you also have had something that has taken you away from your writing, maybe you got started and you never really saw momentum and you had a death in your family or some changes in your circumstances and you couldn't get back to your writing, or maybe you, like me, had an amazing career previously and sold hundreds of thousands of books, but you've had some struggles over the last couple of years to write, or you were burned out and now you're scared of facing those numbers. And believe me, I feel this way a little bit too. Every night before I went to bed for years, I had spreadsheets that I was keeping in Google Sheets, and I would sit down at each individual retailer and figure out exactly how many books I sold. And I was very aware of every dollar I made, every book I sold, and all the metrics and data. And it was very powerful and super, super helpful to be in my business and focused on those numbers at all times. However, when sales started to go down and I had all these other things that I was focused on, I stopped checking in as often. Now, I do have this amazing tool that I will share with you down below in the description called Scribe Count. It is for wide authors. So in last week's video, we talked about exclusivity to Amazon versus being wide, meaning your books are not just at Amazon, but Google Play and Barnes & Noble and Apple Books and Kobo Books. So I'm wide and I've always been wide. And Scribe Count is probably my favorite tool. This was not around in 2010. I think it just came out maybe in 2018 or maybe before then, I might not be remembering. but it is this amazing tool where you can see how many books you've sold of each book, what year, how much money you've made each year, and your total sales for your lifetime of your career. And you just connect your accounts in. So the first step for me is really what I would call an audit. So let me talk about what all this audit entails. Some of this was done last year by Renee, my operations manager, as well as myself. We've been working on this and trying to slate this in for a long time. So part of the audit was my website. So we looked at all the book pages, and actually we did kind of do our first big Project Phoenix project by having my website completely redone last year. But I'm doing a fresh audit to look at where are there still no links, like my reading order page doesn't have links. There's other things I want to do with my blog. So I'm doing a website audit. Also an audit on my retailer sales pages for every single book. So that means all 27 books at all the retailers where they're available for sale, like Amazon and Google and everywhere, going in and looking at the sales page. What categories am I in? What do my blurbs look like? Are the covers looking right? Are the titles consistent? And just making sure, because kind of imagine that my author career right now is like a beautiful garden that was just so well tended. And then you came across an illness, and then several seasons came, and now you come back out to the garden and there's still so many beautiful flowers, but there's also a lot of weeds. There's some dead things. There's stuff that didn't quite make it. Maybe there's a few bugs or rodents in there too, and we just need to clean it up. It's still a beautiful space, but it needs to be tended to. And that's kind of how I think about my career right now. And I know that once I clean it up, it's going to look great. But in order to make a plan for how to clean it up, I got to be able to get in there and see what it's like. And like I mentioned, this can be emotional because it can be difficult to go to look at all this data and face it head on, because maybe your sales are not at all what they used to be. Or maybe you can feel a little bit of shame about, gosh, I haven't really looked at this. I haven't been keeping up with it. People are disappointed in me. Or if you're just getting started with your career, and maybe you have one or two books, or you're just looking at other people's books and trying to make decisions about what you want to do, you might instead be feeling overwhelmed. Like, how do I even figure all of this stuff out? So part of the first step is just facing those feelings and getting into your data. So again, all of those retailers, then I need to look at my book files. So I know already that I have to update the back matter. I need to update links. I want to add some new stuff to the front matter. I want to add some bonus material. So I need to look at the state of my files, and I actually need to go through. I have all these drives, and I don't know which one has all my book files on it. So I need to locate those files, and I need to make sure I understand what the current state of everything is. I need to see all about my metadata. What's the current state of my links, my affiliate links, all of my ISBNs, what formats and paperbacks do I have? All of this stuff needs to be written down and audited and looked at so that I have a comprehensive list of where there's mistakes, where there's errors, where I need to fix things. Amazon several years ago came out with A+ content. Almost none of my books have those special images and things like that in it. So there's a lot of changes that I need to make. So just doing that audit and looking over everything with a fine-tooth comb is the first step. I need to look at my actual book files and see what needs to be updated. Where do I still have errors or out-of-date information? Are there still inaccuracies or other things like that? Looking at my social media channels and making sure that I kind of have an idea of how many followers I currently have, what's my engagement like right now, and actually putting that into a document somewhere so that I can see if I'm growing. I won't know if my social engagement is getting better if I don't know what my baseline is. So that's part of the audit, is just sort of establishing that baseline with your sales, your income, your followers, your engagement, your newsletter, and just getting the lay of the land and saying, what's my baseline average of where I sit right now? What's inaccurate? What's out of date? Where are there errors? And what's the real work that needs to be done? Once that audit is done, which for me, that has already been done, and I already have my list, it's time to start thinking about what are all the other tasks that need to be done to fix all of this and to start gaining momentum. So I follow a process here that is very similar to what I follow with my HB90 productivity, as well as Your Path Forward, which is the workshop I gave last weekend, which is basically to do a big brain dump where I just say, okay, after looking at the audit and everything that needs to be fixed, let me just make one huge brainstorm of a list. So set a timer for 20 or 30 minutes and just start scribbling out a long list of all the things you need to do to fix it. I need to fix book files. I need to decide book matter. I need to do some cross promo. I need to research my keywords. I need to study up on this. I need to learn this. I need to take this course. There might be 100 things that you can pull out of your brain, but you can't begin to prioritize or think about it in a strategic way until you have it all down on paper. So for me, this is kind of how my brain works best, is to do the brain dump, see the lay of the land of all the things I need to do, and then go in and prioritize what needs to get done first, what's going to have the biggest impact. Now, as always, determining your priorities has to do with what's your goal. So if your goal was to start a whole new pen name, you would have very different priorities than somebody whose goal is to revive their backlist. So keep that in mind as we go over this. Another part of my priorities that's going to help determine what actions I'm actually going to do, because like I said, this list, I've wrote everything down on index cards, is not everything I could possibly do, because I might be trying to do this for the next 20 years if I wrote down everything I could do or everything I see everyone else doing. Instead, I'm always filtering the list of things I'm going to do through the lens of what are my strengths, what are my goals, and what do I want to do? Because honestly, I burned myself out pretty badly in the past, and I am still an active mom of two, and I am still wanting to run this YouTube channel. So I have 2 YouTube channels, 2 social medias for everything. I manage like 10 different Facebook groups, an Etsy shop. There's a lot of stuff on my plate. So I don't want any like extraneous things here. I want to focus on stuff that I'm going to enjoy doing. Plus, like I said, if this isn't joyful and there's just resistance and I hate it and I don't want to do it every step of the way, if I demand of myself that I start doing things I don't want to do, then I'm not going to follow through, or I'm going to end up burned out again. And for me, if it's not joyful or it's not fun, I don't want any part of it. And that may not be the lens through which you choose, but that's the lens through which I choose. So I wrote down that big list. I started eliminating things that I really didn't want to do, and then started focusing in on the things that I felt were going to have the biggest impact in my career. Once I had that entire list, I started separating things out into kind of like buckets or areas, right? So one of them is marketing. So all the tasks that are going to be marketing tasks like cross promotion, advertising, round robins, newsletter swaps, just different things like that, get a red pen. So I've got that in here. The second bucket for me is files, and that is everything green. I'll show you this in just a minute in terms of how I've set up my color code. But files basically means everything in terms of the formatting of my books. So files for my ebooks, my paperbacks, I need to organize them. I need to reformat everything and fix all the errors. So all of those tasks, which is going to be a lot here at the front, but at the end, they'll all be done and I won't have to fiddle with them. So they're kind of like one and done, at least for a little while. Those will all be green. My books and content, which includes what I'm currently writing, as well as the content that's surrounding it. So any extra bonus content that's part of the words, and my books themselves in terms of the actual words on the page, the chapters, the editing, anything that has to do with that, all gets a purple. Now, there aren't as many tasks up front that have to do with the purple, but in the end, that will be the main recurring thing that I have is my writing and launches and book content. So that is purple, which is my favorite color. The fourth bucket for my tasks and projects that I'm going to be doing in Project Phoenix is my metadata and metrics. So I have given this a blue marker. I am using Tombow dual brush pens, as well as I have matching markers in these Stabilo, I don't know, 0.88. I never know how to say this, so tell me in the comments, Stabilo, I don't know. And then I also have matching Post-it notes, as well as some matching stickers here. And I'll show you in a little bit how I'm going to set all that up and use that color coding. But metadata is basically all the data surrounding your book. So your book title, your ISBNs, your ASIN, any type of keywords, categories, or other data like your blurb, all of that stuff. And metrics is, of course, all of the numbers. So sales, income, social followers, engagement, and all of that will all be tracked in blue. Yellow is our fifth category, and this is formats. So one of the ways to increase and reach more readers is not just to fix all your errors and promote your books, but it's also to make your books available in more formats. I have all of my books available in ebooks, but I could package those into bigger box sets and I could have hardcovers. I don't even have everything I have put out yet in paperback sets. And so I've got lots of different formats, translations, audios, other places that I haven't gone yet, I haven't created yet. So that will be in yellow. This sort of teal greenish color is for my newsletter. So when I was telling you that I have done almost nothing other than keeping connection with my fan base, I haven't even been sending out a newsletter. Now, what I did do last year was I created a new reader magnet, I created a new landing page for my newsletter, and I have sent out some new newsletter information. I also culled my list, meaning that I went through and saw who hasn't engaged with me in a long time, who's not opening emails, and then I did a re-engagement campaign. So I kicked about 6,000 people off my list. And so all the things that I'm going to be doing with newsletters, and there's going to be a lot of tasks with that, plus a bi-weekly newsletter is going to be in this teal color. The one I'm probably most excited about, which is my other favorite color. George says you can't have two favorites, but I do. So pink and purple are both my favorites, but this is Ream and Kickstarter. So this will mostly be Ream. I don't actually have a solid plan yet for a Kickstarter. If you're not familiar with Ream, I'll talk about it more, but it's actually a monthly subscription that people can sign up to hear more about my stories and actually read my stories as part of a subscription on a site called reamstories.com. I will link that for you down below. It's really an up and coming subscription model similar to Patreon that's made for authors to build communities. And since I told you that my core value is community, this is the perfect fit for me. So I'm in a course currently to learn how to set up my Ream subscription, and that will be coming soon. So all of that is in pink. And then anything that might in the future have to do with Kickstarter, which is also sort of book sales outside of traditional methods like selling on Amazon, pink. And finally, even though I am not a super fan of the color orange, it was just the most convenient color to delineate from the others. Orange is my website. So this will be any blog posts, any bonus content, landing pages, any links and changes that need to happen to update my website. So those are my 8 buckets: marketing, files, book content, metadata and metrics, formats, newsletter, Ream and Kickstarter, and my website. You may have different buckets, or you might want to color code according to your series or your books. You can really do it any kind of way. But for me, those buckets made a lot of sense. And I'm going to be tracking this not only in Notion combined with Asana, which is a productivity software, but also on paper for myself in this project planner from Poketo. I got this on Amazon. And if you know me, you know that I have to have some kind of paper way of keeping track of stuff. In addition to, because I have a team that might be growing this year, I also want to make sure that we can stay up to date so they can actually help me with some of these tasks. So that's why we're going to use some digital tools as well. I also have this B5 Stalogy where I've been keeping notes on the courses I'm taking, as well as the just brainstorming and ideas that I have, and some of the updates that need to happen from the audit. Okay, next part of this video, we are going to get into the actual plan. So I gave you those buckets, but how did I determine my priorities? What order am I going to do them in? And what are the specific sort of smaller projects within that big goal that I am going to do? So we're going to cover this next, but I do want to take a moment just to let you know that if you're already feeling a little bit overwhelmed by this, but you really, really want to increase your sales, or you really want this to be the year that you finally publish and start to find massive success and be making a full-time living as an author, then I very much would love to see you inside my course, Publish and Thrive. This is a 6-week intensive course, and you get a lot of personal attention from me helping you with your strategy. And by the end of the 6 weeks, you can take it self-paced, but by the end of finishing the 6 modules, you will have a personalized roadmap with not just index cards, but an actual Google sheet that has a list of all the tasks that you need to complete. And then inside the course, as you get to each task or each big project, like it's time to format my books, there's an index in the class that you can search and look for ebook formatting or paperback formatting, and then it will give you all the information from the course, complete with links to where you go to watch the walkthrough and the video. I have made this self-publishing as easy as it possibly can be. This is not an easy journey because there is so much to learn, but it is so much easier when you have a guide who has a deep understanding of this industry, as well as a whole community that you can lean on. So if you're interested, come join us in Publish and Thrive. It starts this Saturday, and this class works. I have 3 shelves over here full of just paperback and hardcover books from students who have published after taking my class. We have students who are hitting top 100 on Amazon, selling thousands of books, making a full-time living just after a year or 2. And I want you to have that same level of success. We've had over 2,000 people go through this class, and everyone loves it. Everyone finds something that they can learn, whether they're just starting out in their career or they've been at this for a while and are just looking to fill in some of those holes in their knowledge and their marketing tactics and everything else. So come join us. We start Saturday. I cannot wait. But if you can't get in this time, or you're watching this after the course has ended, then you can always join us every February or August. So just make sure that you use the link down below to sign up for my newsletter list, where you'll get not only dozens of free resources from me, but also you'll find out when the course opens again. So, okay, enough of a shameless plug. Let's keep moving forward to the steps that I'm going to follow to rebuild my career. Okay, so like I said, in terms of the process, I did a massive, several page list of all the things that I could do. Then I went through and I weeded out things that I just don't see having time for. I don't think they would have the impact I want, or things I don't want to do. So TikTok is not on this list, even though it's a great way to connect and sell books. I'm not going to be on TikTok unless I change my mind. But for now, there are just certain things that didn't make it onto my list. So I went through thinking about my priorities and my goals of community and increasing sales and engagement. And I focused on those buckets, and I focused on choosing which things I was going to do. Then I started going through and putting them in order. Now, I do have another class that we just went through last weekend called Your Path Forward. And I'm following that exact set of steps that I talk about in that class, which is basically to just go through, write every single thing that you want to do on an index card. I also color coded mine according to the buckets that I have. And then I went through and determined, which order does this need to happen? I don't really want to upload my files until I have my bonus content figured out, because the bonus content is going in the back matter. So the bonus content has to come first. So I would find those dependencies and priorities and put it all in order. So here is what I have come up with, which is on these index cards. Once I am done with this video and I start actually moving forward, I'm going to go on to each of these index cards, and I'm actually going to write the mini tasks that will be into this. But for right now, it's kind of high level. The first thing that I need to do, this first one says basically there's multiple, I would say there's 4 here that are all blue, which is the metrics and metadata, because the first step that I need to take is to get back into my data. I need to go back into Scribe Count, connect all my accounts, update all my information. I need to get that baseline of where my sales currently are so that I can know if they're growing. I need to deal with my links. So when you're an indie author, you're going to have your clean link, meaning there's no affiliate link. It's not a bit.ly or a shortened link. It's just the actual clean link to your book for each vendor and for each book. So imagine 27 times 6 or more for each one. So you've got hundreds of links. Then you have an affiliate link, and you have a short link for everything. And then maybe you have a link to the book on your website. So there's lots of different things, plus each format, paperback versus ebook. So you end up with 1,000 links or more. And all of that data can be scattered in different places. And so in order to effectively go in and fix things and add links to my website, add links to my back matter, I just need all those links to be organized. So I'm going to be organizing my data, going back through. I also, when I publish my books, use an upload notes template where I keep all of my metadata in one little sheet in Google that says the title of the book at the top, and then it has all the numbers, the blurb, the keywords, all of that. So I also want to go in and make a master spreadsheet that has all the links, as well as a link out to that upload notes template for each book. And then I'm going to actually redo my blurbs, redo the metadata and all that stuff in a future step. So I want to get all the data organized first. I'm also going to create some spreadsheets. So that's on here. So I've got tracking my sales and income is the first one. Then I also have setting up my analytics. So I want to put some Google Analytics onto my website so I can be tracking my engagement there a little bit more and seeing kind of what keywords and what other searches are bringing people to my site, which is going to give me some good data. Then I have some spreadsheets to set up. So the spreadsheets mostly are going to be sales and income. Now I told you I have Scribe Count, which gives me tons of that data, but I want to arrange that data in a different way so I can see it more clearly compared to my new data side by side. And you can't really do that in Scribe Count in terms of the side by side data, at least not that I'm aware of. You can let me know if you can. So I'm going to be creating those spreadsheets. Also, it's going to get me into the process of actually tracking my sales on a weekly basis. I'm not going to do it every day, but I'll be able to see from week to week, how did this new ad go? How did cleaning this up look? And I can see the impact my actions are having, but I can't do that until the spreadsheets are set up. So that's another piece of it. Plus I'm going to do the link spreadsheet, the uploads and metadata templates, all of that stuff. I'm also going to have a spreadsheet that is a little more organized, that has all of my ISBNs on it, because right now that is not super clean and neat and tidy. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to be making a spreadsheet of what Vanessa Vale calls the box method, which is a way of sort of tracking every book and every format your book is in. And I need to deal with link management. So like I said, with the different links, but also getting everything into affiliate links and into Genius links. And I know right now I'm just going high level over everything, but unless this video is going to be a 3-hour workshop, I'm going to have to go high level. And then what I'll do is in future videos, we will take each step of this in maybe a vlog format. Let me know if you'd rather see it like sitting down like this and sort of explaining it through screen shares, or if you want to see it in a vlog format where you can see the screen shares, but kind of in a more casual, like here's what I'm doing sort of way, because I want to take you through all of these steps more specifically. So that's the first real big step, is getting all that metadata together. The next thing I've decided to focus on are projects that are partially done that I think I can finish quickly. And part of this is because finished projects have big momentum, make big impact, but also because it's going to build positive momentum for me to be able to say something's done, whereas some of these other projects are going to take a long time. So I prioritized, okay, what's almost there? So for me, website updates is the next piece of the puzzle, because I already had my website redone. It's absolutely gorgeous. Carrie Loves Design did it. She's going to be redoing my Heart Breathings website later this year, and I just adore her. But there are some pages that still don't have links connected and some other things like that. So we're going to clean all that up and be done with the website. And so that's going to be a project that I can finish quickly. Then I also have on here my newsletter. I don't even know if you can read that, but my newsletter schedule and strategy. So again, I told you I already took some steps by culling the list, by putting together a new reader magnet and things like that. So this is a project that is very close to being done. But what I need to focus on now is what's my strategy for what news I'm going to send, how I'm going to bring people onto my list. I've got already some cross promotions going on with the Action Fantasy Book Club, which is kind of like a round robin type thing, an author book club. And it's really fun, and it's going to bring in new people to my list. So it's a priority to go ahead and get my list in order and make sure all my sequences look good, all my tags are good before I start putting in some bonus content. So newsletter. Also, this is a project, so this says audiobooks. You can't really see the color because the yellow is really light, but this is a project that is going to be in progress for the entire year and into next year, which is I am putting my main series, my Shadow Demon Saga, into audiobook this year. And the first book just needs to be in final post-production. So I need to get working on that, get those notes back to my narrator. So that is a piece of the project. I won't finish it, but that will be at least like the first leg of that project will get done. Then also something that's recurring, and of course I'm focusing on even now, is my writing. And so this index card, I'm going to list out the order in which I expect to be writing, and I'm going to set a deadline for myself to finish Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw, and I'm going to set a release date, and I'm going to decide my strategies in terms of, I should really put writing and launch on here, because I'm going to determine my launch strategy for Vanessa Shaw, since that's the next big project that's coming out. So I don't have a card for this, but I probably should make one. So this is for Ream, but I am currently taking the 6-Figure Subscription Authors Accelerator course. And this is something that is teaching me how to set up a subscription and determine my tiers and all of that kind of stuff. So that is already in progress. I'm currently taking that course. So that's going to help me determine and make some decisions, even though I'm not sure exactly when I'll be setting up my subscription. I'm also going to continue to do like my normal social media posts and group stuff and my Friday coffee chat. I also Twitch stream every Thursday. If you ever want to come join me, twitch.tv/Sarra Cannon. Friday is a coffee chat at YouTube, which is just at Sarra Cannon as well. If you ever want to come hang out, we do talk a lot of book and writing stuff over there too. So that is kind of the current project. So I've got my metrics and metadata, and then checking in on what I would consider my current and ongoing close projects. Then I'm going to zero in a little bit more on my actual newsletter. So one of the dependencies or the things I wanted to do first is I want to determine any bonus content or freebies that I can give to my readers to entice them to come sign up for my newsletter list. Because here I'm thinking strategically, and I'm thinking, all right, I cut my newsletter list by 6,000 people. There's a pretty good 10,000 active members on my subscriber list right now. I'm about to add more from this Action Fantasy Book Club at the end of the month. And so I've got some things moving and shaking with my newsletter list. And newsletter is such a powerful tool for communicating with your readers and saying, hey, my Ream subscription's open, or hey, my newest book is coming out, or hey, these are the things I've been working on. And so I want that newsletter to be a focus in the beginning. Plus, I'm going to be redoing all my book files and uploading them to all of the retailers like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and everywhere. And in the back of the book, I want to be able to entice people with some bonus content. So I can say, hey, come get an extra chapter or an extra scene between these characters or whatever at the end of the book, so they can sign up for my newsletter, get their bonus content, and then they're on my newsletter. And so I have a whole workflow that has to go with that. And what I've seen some authors do pretty successfully is to not just have one reader magnet. Like right now, mine is a collection of short stories that anybody can get for signing up for my newsletter, but instead to actually have a different freebie for every book that you upload. So Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw that's coming out next, maybe I would have a special deleted scene or an extra epilogue for what happens after the end of the story that nobody can get anywhere else other than signing up for my list. So in the back of that book, when they finish it, they're feeling good about it, they'll turn the page and it will say, want to read a special spooky alternate ending or anything like this or deleted scene, click here to sign up for my newsletter. But then in the back of, let's say, my Beautiful Demons box set, which is the beginning of my Shadow Demon saga, I would have a different scene. I'm not going to give them a scene from Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw. Instead, I'm going to say, want to see a bonus scene between Marianne and Harper that happened at the high school that I deleted, come join this. Or it could be a map or a special wallpaper for their phone. It could be a signed bookmark that they can download. There's lots of different things you can do for bonus content. Now, it's a lot of work to do different bonus content for every single book, so I'm not going to finish this quickly, but I would like to go ahead and identify some bonus content that I can put in strategic places, and I need to do that before I redo my book files because I want to put that message in the back of the book file. So hopefully this isn't confusing because I know I'm covering a lot of stuff. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments. And again, I will be going over this stuff and actually showing you how I do it in future videos. So that's reader freebies and bonus content, which will also tie into my newsletter and my book files later. Then I want to do an alternate formats brainstorm. So I already know I'm working on audiobooks. I'm going to update the ebooks and the paperbacks, but I'm thinking that I want to also do some large print books because it's pretty easy in Vellum to just change that file to a different size and do large print, which gives me another book for sale. Even though it's the same content, I'm just taking my existing content and giving it more life, more places where it can sell, more formats. And so hardcover would be another thing I might think about. Again, audiobooks and what's my strategy there, translations, any other type of alternate formats. So I'm going to do some brainstorming there about strategically how do I want to add more formats. Then this is a huge one. So this is green because we're all about files. So book file formats. This is going to be primarily ebook and paperback, and it involves a program called Vellum that you can use on your Mac. If you don't have a Mac, you can use a program called Atticus, which you can use on PC or Mac, but it's basically just a formatting software. Now, my books are already formatted because they're already published, but there are some changes I want to make to the front and back matter, to my author bio at the end, to some of my links at the end. And then there are also some like typos or other things that I want to clean up inside the books themselves. And so I have to do that for 27 books times 6 vendors times 2 separate formats. So it's going to be a long project just to get those book files. And when we talk about metrics and data and all that stuff, I'll also be setting up folders inside Google Drive so that Renee or whoever else might be helping me is going to get those out there. Okay, once I've got the new formats done, and I'm also going to be looking at box sets, which is another piece of formatting. I'm going to be putting out a Fair Hope Complete Series box set, a Sacrifice Me Complete Series box set. So that's going to go all into the files and formats. So once all of that is done, the next few projects for me are going to focus very heavily on actually uploading and getting these books republished. Now that I'm not going to be changing anything in terms of the book title or anything like that. I'm just going to re-upload. So when you upload a new version of your book, you just go into the retailer in the back end and you just upload a new file. I'm not changing covers. I'm not doing any kind of big thing like that. I'm just changing the book file. But there's also some metadata that I'm going to be changing, and I have some decisions that I need to make. So the first one there is keywords and categories updates. So Amazon made some hugely substantial upgrades and updates in their categories last year, where they're only allowing you to have 3, and your mileage may vary as to whether or not you can actually get into the 3 that you expected. I'm also going to be changing some categories over at Barnes & Noble, pretty strictly, like pretty massively changing some things over there. And then I also want to make better use of my keywords. So I'm going to be going into a piece of software called Publisher Rocket, which is done by Kindlepreneur, Dave Chesson at Kindlepreneur. And I'm going to be doing some research on what are the most effective keywords and categories for my books in 2024, because most of my books have keywords and categories that I chose several years ago. So it's time to update that. There's been new categories added, new rules on keywords. So I need to make a lot of decisions on that and get that uploaded and changed as well. I also wrote Blurb Reboot here. So my Blurb Reboot is basically just me going in and rewriting the blurb, optimizing that sales page all over the place. So new tagline, new blurb, new mention of my sales, new mention of how many books are out in the series, just rebooting the blurb. Then I have more about updating those sales pages. So this says retailer updates, maximizing. So basically what this is about is maximizing my actual books page at Barnes & Noble and my actual books page at Apple Books and at Amazon. Now at Amazon, you can do a lot. If you've ever been searching for books over at Amazon, you know about their A+ content, where down below the actual book, you have big banners and images that have teasers and different types of like 5 stars, and different things like that. You also get to play around with your author bio and put keywords in there and really make it catchy so people will really like connect with you as an author. You've got editorial reviews and all kinds of things, and all of mine is out of date. And so I've got some major changes to make on my actual Amazon page, my actual Barnes & Noble page. So that's the retailer updates that I'm going to make there. I'm also going to review part of that metadata and retailers. I'm going to review my sales price. So currently I have multiple free books. Most of my books that are first in a series are free. I have a few 99-cent books, and then I have mostly books at $3.99. And I'm going to be thinking again about how I want to do my pricing strategy. And I don't know yet, but I'm going to be thinking about it. Like I said, I have all of those different formats like box sets and large print and things like that. Then kind of, I would call this almost like phase 2. Once the metadata and metrics is all fixed and all of my books have been reformatted and re-uploaded, which might take me 6 months. I'm not even sure how long that's going to take until I sit down and start working on my timeline. Once all of that is done, then I'm going to move into what I call phase 2. So the first part of that is my ads and promotional schedule. Back in the earlier days, I used to have a rotating schedule of newsletter spaces that I would have promote my books, like BookBub, Free Booksy, different kind of like e-reader news today. Some of those sites that I used to use are either not effective or they aren't even around anymore. Some of them are higher in price, harder to get into. So I need to kind of get a lay of the land in terms of which ones. I do already keep a list for Publish and Thrive students of which ones are still good. So I just need to go through and put together a new strategy and promotional sort of round robin or rotation of how often I want to start applying for those ads again. Then I'm also going to start making some decisions about whether I want to do something I've never really done in my career before, which is take out Facebook ads and learn how to utilize Facebook ads. I have plans in the future to have a direct sales website, a Shopify store where people can buy my ebooks and paperbacks and maybe some merch and t-shirts and things like that. And in order to really make that fly, you need to know Facebook ads. And I have never used ads. Most of my sales have been organic other than those newsletter style ads. But, times are changing and it's time to start adding ads into some of my strategy. So this is further down the line, but I need to pick out the best course on ad strategy. I need to learn from the people that know my style and my values. And maybe I need to consider also hiring someone to help me run those ads and things like that. So that's going to be a big one, ads and promo. And it's going to put me potentially a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I think it'll be good. And I'll need to determine a budget and all of that kind of stuff. Once I have my ads and promotions going, I'm going to start focusing on a different type of promotion, which is cross promotion. So the first step here is to identify my comp authors, meaning who's currently writing and successful kind of on a similar level to me that is writing YA, writing books like me that are like low spice or no spice, writing fantasy or speculative books, maybe mystery thrillers like Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw, and go through each of my series and find authors who are writing things that I think my fans would like, and I would feel good about promoting their books to my fans. And then in return, having them promote my books to their fans. So this is things like newsletter swaps. BookFunnel is a great site where you can put together your own newsletter swap or you can join one. Book sweeps and other types of giveaways that you can do as a group. You could do online parties together or online giveaways or events that you're doing to sort of pull things together. Cross promotion is what I'm doing right now with the Action Fantasy Book Club, where actually here in February, I am giving away my book, The Witch's Key. So I will leave a link down below if you want to get that book for free and check out my writing. You cannot get that book free anywhere else besides that. So it also has the brand new cover. So if you wanted to check that out, you join that list and there are 12 of us and each month you'll get a free book. And in return, you're signing up for all 12 of our email lists. And then of course you can unsubscribe at any time if someone isn't for you. But that way we're pulling together our fan bases and our resources and not only providing a service to our readers where we're recommending books, giving them free books, giving them an opportunity for giveaways, but we're also introducing them to new authors. And then in return, we're getting new people on our mailing list. So it's a win-win situation for all the authors and the readers. So I want to focus on some of those types of newsletter swaps, cross promotions, giveaways, and things like that. Then next, I have social media plans. So I am already doing obviously some social media. The places where I focus are here on YouTube. At Sarra Cannon is my fan YouTube channel. And then I also have a active Facebook group and Facebook page called Sarra Cannon's Coven. And I have a Discord server for my fans as well as a Twitch channel. And that is mostly where I focus. I also have an Instagram that's pretty active. I am not on TikTok. I'm not on Clubhouse or any of those other types of places. Now, maybe by the time I get to this part, I might make a different choice about TikTok or other types of marketing, but I'm going to focus on really nailing down a social media strategy. Now this, because I'm already kind of doing it at a bare minimum and I have a lot of good contact with my fans on social media, I'm not really going to worry about that as a priority because I don't really believe that I need to change a lot, because this is the one thing I'm doing right in a way. I've got a good amount of followers, a good amount of engagement. So I'm going to focus on other things that will have a bigger impact. And then once I get all of those things in line, then I'm going to just sort of tweak and experiment with my social media to see if I can get engagement even higher. Now, those are the steps. I do have a few other things listed here that are not exactly things that I know where they're going to go. So some of them will just depend on when it fits into my schedule and when I have time to not only create it, but to also sustain it. But I've got Ream subscription here at the top. Like I mentioned, I'm already in the process of this. I'm hoping to actually set that up well before all of these other ones are finished. But because I don't know where it goes, it's kind of at the end of the pile. Then I also have direct sales website here because I want to start merch and I want to start selling my paperbacks and things on a Shopify site. So that's here, but that's going to be very time intensive and expensive. And I'm probably going to need to take a course. So that's going kind of towards the end once all these other things are in place. Translations, also expensive, hardcovers, and Kickstarter. So I would love to try a Kickstarter, especially once I already have my fan base re-engaged and my sales are looking good. I would really love to do some special editions of my Shadow Demon Saga. So that's why the hardcovers is listed in there, but it's not a priority right now. But any of these things here towards the end could be things that I bump up sooner in the process if I feel like it. So that is my Project Phoenix. It is very big in terms of a project. This is going to take me months. It's going to take help and it's going to take a lot of strategic planning, but I really am excited about it. I think it's going to be super fun and I am so nervous and excited to see the results from this. And I think it's going to be pretty great. And, you know, the mental and emotional roller coaster of it all, when you have previously had success and you are not seeing that success again, is that, you know, everybody says, don't compare yourself to other people, compare yourself to who you were yesterday. But when who you were a few years ago was more successful in this area than where you are now, sometimes you have to just cut ties and say, I understand and I forgive myself for why there are changes or why I let that go or why I'm starting from scratch, and try your best to get into a mindset of this is going to be really fun. This is going to be really exciting. And just like the Phoenix, it's a cycle, right? You burn bright, you look beautiful, and then you shed and you turn to ash, and then you grow and you become a baby yet again. And so even with all my experience and all my sales, I'm coming at this with the eyes of someone who is just getting a fresh start. And I am already resetting my mind to, once I have that baseline of, you know, I think my average sales right now are about $3,000 to $5,000 a month. So once I determine that average, I'm going to track my sales. I'm going to start implementing these things. And I'm not going to compare that $3,000 a month to the $30,000 a month I was making before and say that it's not good enough. Instead, I'm going to get excited for that $3,000 a month because I'm so grateful that I still have that even after all these years. And I'm going to just build from that. So I'm going to celebrate $3,100 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, and everything in between, even if I'm just moving up by $20 a month. Because if I blame myself and keep my eyes focused on the past and say, here's all the mistakes, I can't believe I'm not at 30,000, and I dwell on that, then I'm never going to follow through with these other things. And I'm certainly not going to enjoy and have fun with the process. So I'm going to use the past as data, but I'm really kind of drawing a line in the sand and saying, this is my fresh start and I believe in myself and I'm not going to compare myself to anybody else and I'm not going to compare myself to who I used to be. I'm going to start fresh right now and I'm going to get excited about all the fans that I'm going to connect with over this years, all the new things like Ream and direct sales and all the fun stuff that is yet to come, as well as the most important part, which is the stories themselves. I'm so excited to finish up Vanessa Shaw. I'm excited to write the 12th and final book in my Shadow Demon Saga. I also have a final book in my Eternal Sorrow series to write, and then I'll be getting back to the Witch's Key series, but I'm also going to be writing a serialized story for Ream called A Mirror of Shadows. So there's just nothing but fun stories coming. And so I'm going to focus there and on community rather than the mistakes that I've made. I'm going to try to clean things up and I'm going to keep moving forward. So that's the plan. And this video is, again, going to be almost an hour, but we need to set this puppy up. And I don't think that we have time to do it on this video. So instead, I will be setting this up for our February notebook challenge coming in just a few days. I'm going to try to get that video up for you Friday night or early Saturday morning. And I am going to be sending those of you on my newsletter list at least 2 emails this week, because I'm sending one already. I've sent one today to let you know about this video, but I'm also going to send out a final reminder for those of you who need it that Publish and Thrive is closing registration at noon on Saturday. So come join us. We also have Double Down Day in our Heart Breathings writing community this weekend, and just so many amazing things coming up. So if you are not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, like this video if you want to see more like this, and comment down below with a book emoji or a pencil emoji or a heart emoji if you made it all the way through. Or is there a phoenix emoji? Maybe there's like a chicken emoji. I don't know. But comment to let me know that you watched this entire video. Let me know if there's things that you think, maybe I should add this to my list. Maybe I haven't tried this. Maybe I've already considered it and decided not to do it, but I'm willing to take anyone's suggestions. And let me know the things that you're most excited of seeing me actually follow through with, so that you can see how to do it too. But again, if you are just starting out, or you're ready to increase your sales, or you're just about to publish your first book, I hope that you'll come join us in Publish and Thrive. It really is such an amazing community, and I'm very proud of that course, and I really hope you'll join us over there. Okay, everybody, that is it for Project Phoenix. Oh my goodness, another long video. Thank you so much for staying to the end, and I cannot wait to see you in our February Notebook Challenge, where we'll be setting up this Paketo project planner. So I will see you then. Bye.